Hello everybody and welcome to The United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United transfer news where we talk about all the latest transfer news and give it that real fan opinion. Sponsored by Unibet. If you're not getting enough transfer news, click the link in the video description. Get all the latest transfer news and breaking news on the Unibet vlog. And I have put another article up this week, which I think you're all going to enjoy, which is my three options to replace Romelu Lukaku. If we're going to replace Lukaku, I've put my top three in there. Links in the video description. Pop over and give it a read and see if you agree with me. But let's fly into the show today. And we're going to start off with Harry Maguire, but also there's quite a few players to talk about as well. Matuidi, as you can see there, Nicola Pepe. They've been linked to Manchester United over the weekend. And hopefully this week has got to be a big week for Manchester United. We keep saying it, and some weeks we've had big weeks and some weeks we've had quiet weeks. But I just want to say, there is talk of a medical for Harry Maguire today. There is talk of that Harry Maguire will have a medical today, and I really am hoping that we're going to get some real momentum with this Harry Maguire deal. But I just wanted to start the week off on a positive and bring some stats in that. Look, I'm not massive on stats. You'll know I think a lot of stats can be misrepresentative of what a player is actually like, but I think some things are pretty relevant. And look, I think Van Dijk's the best centre-back in the world. I don't like saying that as a Manchester United fan who doesn't like Liverpool, but I can look at the situation and say they're a good team and they've got the best centre-back in the world, and they bought him from Southampton for 75 million. Now, I'm not saying that Harry Maguire is going to go on and be the best centre-back in the world. I think Van Dijk is better, but what I would like to read out is just three simple stats that show the quality of Harry Maguire. Last season, he scored 3 goals, so did Van Dijk. His aerial duels that he won was 78%, Van Dijk won 75%, and his passing range, 86%, 90% to Van Dijk. So yeah, Van Dijk's a better passer of the ball, statistically, than Harry Maguire, but aerial duels, Maguire wins more. And I said this before, I said it to Rance yesterday when we did that video. When I was watching England play Holland, and he's going into the opposition's penalty box to get on the end of free kicks and corners, and he's going up against Van Dijk and De Ligt and winning it. That's what you get with Harry Maguire, and that's the thing that I'm most excited about. I loved Nemanja Vidic as a centre-back for Manchester United, like many people did, but what I loved about him the most is that any ball into the box, he would run through a brick wall to head it. He loved heading the ball, and you're not going to, doesn't mean we're never going to concede from a corner again, because Harry Maguire can't mark everybody, but what he gives us is ability in the air, and straight away we become relevant from corners again, because as long as we can put the delivery in there, which is a big if, we've got somebody who can win corners. So, very, very positive about the Harry Maguire thing. Hopefully his medical will happen today. Will he fly out to the Australian tour? Somebody asked me yesterday. It depends when he's announced. If he gets announced like Wednesday, he will probably link up with Manchester United in Singapore, because we've still got the Inter Milan game on the following Thursday. If he doesn't sign until the end of the week or next weekend, is it worth flying over to Singapore for 4 days, for Beijing for 4 days to play Spurs? I don't know. But if we can get that deal done this week, great. And then hopefully we can move on to the Bruno Fernandez deal. But look, there seems to be some momentum to this, and Manchester United need to get this deal over the line to get a centre-back in. I must admit, I was one of those people who's a little bit worried, thinking, we've still got Rojo, we've got Jones, we've got Smalling, we've got Lindelof, Twansibi's playing games now. Are we just going to ignore the fact that we need a centre-back? And as I said there a few seconds ago, those centre-backs, some of them are good, some of them are crap. But the point is, none of them are dominant in the air. Harry Maguire is. And that, to me, was what we needed coming into the summer. And you shouldn't lose sight of the fact that when we were talking about we needed a centre-back, it wasn't any old centre-back. We needed a leader and somebody who was dominant in the air who can bring the ball out the back. And Harry Maguire can do that. So, yeah, I'll be very pleased to get this deal done. People are talking about a medical. Obviously, we spoke about 2 weeks ago about this deal being done if United went higher, and they've done it. So, good. Happy about that. On Romelu Lukaku, it sort of feeds in that Icardi said over the weekend, apparently, that he would just sit there and earn his money and see his contract out, which could scupper Inter Milan's move for Lukaku. I don't see that. Why would Icardi want to do that? I mean, I think he wants to stay at Inter Milan, but if they don't want him, it's time to move on, isn't it? And Romelu Lukaku himself said at the weekend, hopefully something's going to happen in the next week on his future. Well, if you're staying at Manchester United, you don't say, hopefully in the next week you'll hear something, because we'll hear something in next month. We can hear something in September about your Manchester United future. It obviously wants to move, and I think United need to facilitate that move as soon as possible. Pogba, it's a little bit quiet at the moment. Bruno Fernandez, I think that's ticking along. I think it's ticking along, and I think that will happen. I don't think it will happen this week, but I do think it will happen, and then suddenly the transfer window, as we said last night, becomes a very decent one. I want to bring Nicola Pepe in at this point, though, because he was supposedly, the biggest bullshit story of the weekend was that Arsenal had bid £70 million for him. I don't know whether Arsenal won the... Did they still do the National Lottery on a Saturday night? Because Arsenal, maybe they won the lottery and then they've put a bid in for Nicola Pepe, but they haven't got £70 million to buy Nicola Pepe. And I think Nicola Pepe's ambitious, so I don't think he's going to go to Arsenal. But Manchester United have been mentioned again. I think what's happening with Nicola Pepe is a right winger. A lot of you like him, but a lot of you think he's not that good, that he actually can be quite inconsistent. What I would say is, his goals record for a team like Lille last season was exceptional for a right winger, and he's got to be better than Lingard and Mata on the right wing, and Daniel James, to be fair, because Daniel James I think we're going to have to be a bit patient with, happily patient with. Let's not expect him to be the be all and end all when he's only just come to the club. And a natural right winger would be good. Jadon Sancho would have been the dream. That's not going to happen. Do you go out and spend 60 to 70 million on Nicola Pepe? Would he want to come to Manchester United? He probably is the most high-profile right winger that's out there at the moment available, other than a Gareth Bale, which I know a lot of you don't want. So what I feel is happening with Nicola Pepe, he's obviously been part of the AFCON. Liverpool want him. PSG are interested in him. Bayern Munich might be interested in him. We might be interested in him. If all those teams are interested in him, we're at the bottom of the queue. Lille actually qualified for the Champions League as well, and if he wants to play Champions League football, we can't offer that to him. I personally, I've not been told this by anybody. You know, the Maguire stuff I was told, the Bruno Fernandez stuff I've been told. I've never been told anything about anything else. I'm not going to pretend to be in the know. I will just tell you what I'm told. I haven't been told anything about this. I just don't think United are going to sign a right winger this summer. I just don't. I don't think we've got the time. I don't know whether we're ever thinking about doing it. But to me, we're going to sign 3 more players. Definitely 2. Maguire, Fernandez, and probably Longstaff. And I think that'll be our business done. But if Lukaku goes, maybe we'll bring another striker in. But the right wing position, although I think it's a priority, I don't think we'll necessarily do it. Get your comments in below what you think about that. But also, Matuidi's been linked to us. Like, Matuidi's 32 years of age as a short-term replacement for Paul Pogba. How does that work? Why does that work? Why is that even a story? Like Matuidi, I remember Matuidi being linked to United 2 or 3 years ago, and we were saying, he's good, but do you take a 30-year-old or a 29-year-old into the Premier League? You certainly don't take a 32-year-old who's never played in the Premier League and bring him in. I mean, look, Matuidi's decent. I think he's on the decline in relation to his, footballing powers of a midfielder now, and he doesn't fit in at all with Manchester United. So I mention it because some people might mention it, but no. I mean, look, if Pogba's going to Juventus and Matuidi's part of that deal, then maybe United might look at it, but I still don't think that they would. But I don't think Pogba's going to Juventus. I think Pogba's going to Real Madrid if he's going to go anywhere. And as it's the transfer show, I just want to say, I do think that the Pogba story's not reached its conclusion yet. That doesn't mean he's not going to stay. He will stay, but I do think there's more in that. I don't think you go from being, I want a new challenge, and his agent saying, everyone at United's known for a long time that he wants to go in on a tour in Australia, signing a few photographs, smiling at a few people, playing a few minutes against Perth Glory and probably Leeds, and then staying at United. I don't think that's run its course yet. I still think he might stay because Real Madrid don't pay the money we want and we play hardball, but there could be another twist in this. I mean, imagine the scenario. Real Madrid say, we'll go up to 120 million. Manchester United say, we want 150 million. Real Madrid say, we can't go any higher. Paul Pogba knows that offer's on the table. He knows he's that close to his dream move. Does he go, okay, I'm going to stay at United? Or does he go, I want this move. I'm going to really start pushing for this move now. That could happen. So just be wary of that. The Pogba's transfer scenario is not over yet. It really isn't. Saul Niguez has been mentioned in relation to Pogba by AS. Saul Niguez, Atletico Madrid. £135 million release clause. As we know and mentioned before, there is that rumour that release clause is part owned by somebody else. I don't see Saul Niguez coming to Manchester United unless we sell Paul Pogba. I think Bruno Fernandez was coming in anyway. So look, Saul Niguez is a very good player, and again, there's not a lot coming out of Manchester United with regards to what Manchester United's replacement options are for Paul Pogba, other than, as I said, Bruno Fernandes has never been considered a replacement for Paul Pogba. Manchester United scouted Bruno Fernandes all last season. They like Bruno Fernandes. Simon Peach said it on, if you've not watched that interview with Flex, absolutely brilliant. Get on the playlist and give it a watch if you love your transfers. He's a tier 1 journalist, and he's spoken about all the options out there. Bruno Fernandes is a player that Manchester United like and Manchester United wants, and have spent a lot of time looking at. You don't he doesn't become the replacement for Pogba. If Pogba goes, United need something else, and maybe Saul could be that option because they've got that money. I mean, if you invest all the money from Paul Pogba into Saul Niguez, you get Saul Niguez because that's his release clause. But there are other options out there. I just feel at the moment that the Pogba thing's going to run, and I don't think United know what their options are if he goes. You do need to prepare, but I think they're banking on keeping him, to be honest. But AS reporting about that. We spoke about Matuidi, we spoke about Nicolas Pepe, we spoke about Maguire medical. Lukaku this week is interesting, and then we'll talk about Milinkovic-Savic. I mean, what's going to happen with Romelu Lukaku this week? I don't think Lukaku's deal will be done this week. I know he said himself that we will... hear something this week or in a week. I don't see Lukaku moving to Inter Milan anytime soon, and I hope I'm wrong on that. But we play Inter Milan on Saturday, don't we? We play Inter Milan. We play in Leeds on Wednesday, Inter Milan on Saturday, and then Spurs on the Sunday. Lukaku won't play against us if he signs for Inter Milan this week, and he won't play against Inter Milan on Saturday, I don't think, for us. So. But I don't necessarily think that deal's going to be done anytime soon. Interesting. Somebody said this last night about the net spend and what that means for Manchester United. We're going to have to sort of monitor that over the next few weeks as to what our net spend is, because I firmly believe if Lukaku and Pogba had stayed, United still should have spent 200 million. So it's going to be interesting when you take off the fee for Lukaku, how much we still do spend and whether it's a cheap sum or we actually have invested that money in. But look, I think Lukaku's gone. I don't know what you lot think. Milinkovic-Savic was mentioned again. Contrasting stories really from Italy. One, that Manchester United are sort of biding their time and willing to go up to about 80 million euros. And then I read another story that it feels like it's a bit all paper talk. Milinkovic-Savic doesn't look that unhappy in pre-season training with Lazio, and it could just all be paper talk again. PSG have been mentioned. With Milinkovic-Savic, I don't think we're in for Milinkovic-Savic. I just don't. And I know Damarcio has sort of mentioned that we are, or outlets like that, but I just don't. I think this is... I said it before, I feel that this Milinkovic-Savic story is pretty much, United do get linked to a lot of players that we're not actually in for, and I just feel that with Milinkovic-Savic, because he was a player that we looked at in the past and he might move this summer, let's mention Manchester United. But I don't know. We'll see. Somebody did actually say to me, Goldbridge obviously doesn't watch football because he thinks Milinkovic-Savic doesn't fit in with Manchester United. That's not precisely what I said. I like Milinkovic-Savic. I've seen a lot of him, and he would have suited Mourinho's style of play more than Ollie's, because Ollie plays a more, as we saw yesterday and as we've seen in the past when we did well and as we saw at Mulder, he likes to play a 4-3-3. He likes to move the ball quickly. He likes to press high up the pitch. Milinkovic-Savic can do that, but he's not as mobile as a Bruno Fernandez would be, or a Marcus Rashford, or people like that. It doesn't mean we won't be in for him. I don't see him personally as an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer type of player. Of course, people would say, well, we haven't seen enough of Ollie to know what Ollie's style of play is. I'll take that on board, but from what I've seen, I don't think we're in for Milinkovic-Savic. But maybe we are. I don't know everything. So please do smash a like on the video, everyone. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new. Bottom right hand corner, we're getting very close to 500,000, so please do subscribe if you're new. Bottom right hand corner, and remember the link in the video description for the Unibet vlog. I put an article there. The link's in the video description. The 3 players I would consider to replace Romelu Lukaku. So if Lukaku goes, which we expect, these are the 3 players I would pick from to come in to Manchester United to replace him. So give it a read, give it your thoughts. Thanks everyone for watching. The link's in the video description for that. We will go live later today if there's anything to report about transfers. Flex's vlog will be up at lunchtime as usual. I'll be live at 8 o'clock tonight with the call-in, but obviously if anything happens in between, if there is any medicals and stuff, we will go live. Give my article a read in the video description, and I'll speak to you all soon.